All right, guys, we are on an adventure today. Had a viewer hit me up with some no start issues on his truck. You can tell this is not one of mine because for some reason I always end up with the white ones. So I'm going to introduce you to this young guy and let him tell you about his truck. This is Tristan, and he was viewing some of the videos and hit me up with a comment on the truck. So he's going to tell you a little bit about what he's done so far, and then we'll get into where we're at today.
Absolutely. I got this truck about 2 years ago. I bought it from the original owner. He was an older gentleman, and he actually had a knee replacement and couldn't work the clutch anymore. So that's how I got a hold of it. But ever since I got it, it's been a good running truck. I've just been going around doing basic upgrades, and I don't know if you call them.
So what you done so far to it?
Well, the first thing I ever did, I changed the AC system. It had a failed compressor, and completely replaced all the components of the AC. I had a leak in the an exhaust leak, so I was getting low turbo pressure. So I changed out the up pipes for bellowed up pipes. Also changed the butterfly valve back there to a straight shot to where it would flow more air. But
you can almost see the bellowed up pipes down there, and then he did the butterfly delete.
But other things here and there, you know, nothing too major. This past weekend I decided to change out these high pressure oil lines to these hydraulic ones. And,
that's the kit with the crossover line and all that, replaces all the forward lines?
Correct, yes sir. I was getting a leak. It wasn't too bad of a leak, but it was a leak nonetheless. Replaced the lines, got it all back together, and had a no start. And that it basically led me to your channel. I found a video on high pressure oil leaks that you had, and I hit you up on the comments. And
all right, well, I tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna see why she doesn't want to start. So first things first, we're gonna put the scanner on her, see what the numbers look like, and see if we can figure out what particular component is not happy. Because it just seems like when you, I mean, am I right in assuming from what I've seen, the big problem with changing the doing the upgrade to the high pressure oil lines is just air in the system?
Correct. Yeah, and I knew I'd have a long crank, long crank situation, but I ran the batteries dead a couple times cranking on it, and
so it should have burped all the air out by now, and it's for some reason it's still not happy.
That's what I figured. Yes sir.
Okay. Well, we'll hook the scanner to it and run some numbers and see if we can more accurately pinpoint what's upset. All right, so what we found out, other than probably air in the lines, is the only other issue we're seeing right now, as you can see the line right here, got an injector cup problem because he's getting diesel in the coolant, but we'll deal with that later. I've been helping him diagnose this over the phone. So we pulled the Allen head screw on the high pressure reservoir a couple of times and checked it, and it's been remaining full. So that should tell us that the low pressure oil pump is doing its job. None of the new lines, you can see the green right here on these lines, none of these lines are showing any leaks or seepages or anything. So the repair work looks to be in order, to where we're not losing oil pressure there. Now, we did just check the oil dipstick, and we were barely on the checkered section. So we put, what did we put, a little over
2.5 quarts.
2.5, almost 3 quarts.
Yeah.
So we topped it off there, and we're a little over full, so that's good. And I don't know where the cutoff is. So for y'all that don't know, these trucks, you know, when they use a little oil, they will get to a low point, and it varies from truck to truck, but they will get to a point where they will not run. If you let the oil get low enough, it is not going to burn itself up. It's going to quit running. So probably what's going to start happening is it's going to suck air, which is in the low pressure oil pump, which is going to send fizzy air to aerated air to the Hpop, and then things are going to not pop right, and then eventually it's just not going to do what it needs to do with that low oil. So we got the scanner hooked up, and we're going to see what kind of parameters we got, spin her over. We've been letting the batteries charge up. So let's crank on her and see what the numbers look like. All right, so let me see here. We got Diagnostics, USA, Ford, and then it's got a chew on it for a minute. All right, 2000, we got a 01. Ford, pick 'em up truck. Stupid Duty. It's a Stupid Duty now. It'll be a Super Duty if she fires up. 4x2. Engine PC. 7 Tree. It's a manual, so it means it's a Spanish truck. And we click on that. Alright, so we did our diagnostic trouble codes, which is what I'm going to now. And we turn the key on. Like it's my first time doing this. And let's see what the codes are that we've been getting. Alright, so the only code we're getting, I cleared it earlier. We're getting an Icp code, which is this 1212, and it's cranking, not detecting pressure. So you'll see in a minute, the highest pressure we've been getting is between 100 and maybe 250. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go in and clear that code. Yes. So we have 0 codes now. We did a buzz test on this, and 1 and 3 are showing to have issues, but we're after bigger fish right now. So we're going to go up. We're going to go down to custom data stream, and I already set up parameters I want to watch off of engine data and view data. Okay, so I don't know how this is going to show on the screen, but I'll give you the rundown. But top function here is injector control pressure, so that's our high pressure oil. We want to see that get above 500, and we're watching the duty cycle, and we're only getting 11.8 volts, so we're going to be spinning slow, but we're just trying to see why we can't get over 200. If you want to hold that and just keep it on the screen, and I'm gonna watch this and see what we get. So 280 is the highest that it wants to go. And we had a code trigger, so let's see what the code is. So we got to get out of this. And probably the code we're going to see could be that that delete on exhaust back pressure, because that may be tripping. Read current code. So let's see what she says. Alright, so injector control pressure cranking not detected. Alright, we're going to look into that and see what that ends up being. Alright, so what we're doing, we're thinking that IPR code might be actually the ICP code might actually be the IPR. So I have a couple of spares. This is the one off the truck that we just took off, and Tristan's got the spare. He's working on buttoning it up and plugging it up right now. We're not changing the IPR spool, but I have a few extra coils that I use for testing. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, so we're going to see if that's the case. So he just buttoned it up and plugged it back in, and we're going to spin it over and see if the numbers change. Alright, so Tristan and I are going to rat ourselves out. We were watching another YouTuber consulting the Oracle of Knowledge, and this P1211 ICP no pressure detected code and a P1211 whatever the hell that was, the cat did some tests, and he said when you see that, it's an IPR. So we're kind of testing out his theory too. So what we're going to do, we're going to back out of this, back out of that. We're going to go to clear codes. Yes, we're done. And we're back out of this, and we're going to go to custom data stream, engine data, view data. All right, so we're going to go to the Tristan cam now. He's going to hold that. Okay, so look, let's zoom in on this where you can see the 9742 real good, and let's see if that makes any difference. All right, cycle this and let the glow plugs do their thing. And also another thing to check, guys, is the wait to start light. Rule of thumb is if it's on and working, then your computer's getting power. So let's see what the injector control pressure does this time. 282 was the spike on the last round. And we're a little low on battery power, but we're going to try it anyway. No, it's, well, 250 something is what I saw when I shut it off.
65%.
So 65% is wide open. And did it do that right at the end?
Yep.
Okay, so we might be seeing something. Would you seeing 65% that fast on the last run, or you didn't notice?
No, I don't.
I was just watching the top. We got to 250 something before the batteries gave out, so we're gonna have to. That's cool. We're gonna have to see what it's gonna do. All right, guys. So Tristan's at it again. I tried to talk him out of it, but he won't shut up. So no, we got similar numbers right there at the end. 250 something was the spike. I don't know if y'all saw it, and that's the highest we got on his IPR coil was like 260, 280 for just a split second. Again, I think we're still fighting a battery issue with these batteries, which we'll deal with later, but we're trying to get as much done as we can today while we're working together. But since the numbers that we saw on the injector control pressure were pretty much identical, we're going to try these other coils, and these are just spare coils that came off of stuff. They might be good, they might not be good. I just keep them around for testing. So he's changing the coil out. We're not changing the IPR spool because we don't have one. We're just trying to see if, you know, if one of these coils actuates it and we get oil pressure, then we know we got an IPR problem and we don't mind spending the money on a part that we know we need versus just throwing, you know, loading the parts cannon up and firing it at it. Because, you know, Tristan's over here got unlimited money, so he can buy and do whatever he wants to do. He was just thinking about just changing the whole damn 7.3 motor and going with a new one for about 10 grand. But you know, he's gonna try this $179 IPR first.
Right.
But anyway, so we're gonna do that, and we're waiting on the batteries to charge, and we're gonna fire it again, see if that coil makes any difference. All right, so we got the new coil on, or the new old coil that we don't know anything about, so we might be wasting time. So again, we're gonna watch injector control pressure at the top, and we're gonna watch this zero right here, which is RPMs, to see how much revolutions we're getting with these batteries. All right, let's try this again. Okay. Yeah, we're not doing nothing. We're gonna put a fresh set of batteries in here and spin her over real good. We fighting a uphill battle with these. All right, so we got batteries out of my truck, and they're testing at 12.6 instead of 11 something. And we're waiting on the screen on the scanner to get right because it's got to reboot. And I tell you what, if anybody has a comment, Tristan, go turn the key on. This the sensor right here in the spider, which is for the exhaust back pressure, I believe, it's clicking, and you can feel it. I've never had one just sit there and click. Okay, you can turn it off. So if anybody has any information on that, we're good. Well, we'd like to have it, so send it to me in the comments. We're gonna try firing it on these new batteries, and if that doesn't work, we're gonna throw the other coil back on, and we'll see what the numbers look like from there.
Do we need 50 amps? Or
I don't know. We're gonna find out. We're gonna roll. No, just leave it right there for right now. Okay, guys. So we're back. The scanner's rebooted, so we're gonna watch our top number and injector control pressure. That middle number where the zero is the RPMs, and we're gonna see what we get. So I'm gonna cycle this and let the glow plugs hit again. Doesn't matter, we're not getting any fuel, but old girl might surprise us. We'll see if she likes these new batteries. All right, let's see what we got. Here we go. Climb, baby. 290, and that's it.
65%. I didn't look at the RPM.
The RPMs was about 167 ish is what I kept looking back and forth, but we did not get above. What was the number I hollered?
286.
Okay, so no matter what coil we have, we're not getting pressure. So we're going to go back to your original coil. Okay, you gonna watch that and that. I'm gonna watch the top and see what we get. 150, 287 is all I'm getting. And so we're showing 65%, so it's asking for wide open IPR, and we're spinning a little under 200. So we're good, and we can't get above 280. So that's telling me that I'm thinking the IPR is stuck and not opening up. So, let's process that information. Nah, I'm good. All right, guys. Well, we tried that. Again, we don't have any IPR stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to charge or replace the batteries, and we're going to get an IPR and give that a shot. So that's it for right now, and we'll come back to you later and let y'all know what we found out.
Right, y'all, it's a couple of days later. We replaced the IPR valve, as well as got some new batteries. When we did replace the IPR, we drained a good bit of oil out. So what we're gonna do here next is check the level in the reservoir with a 3/16 Allen wrench. If I get it open, see what it looks like.
Now, is that the one you got to make sure and drop in the valley and get full of old nasty oil?
That's usually how it goes. Okay, so I can see we're about 3 inches from the top, which we're gonna have to add about, I don't know, a pint or so.
All right, so how do you add that into that tiny hole?
I got a turkey baster.
A turkey baster?
Yes.
Is that a legit Ford part? Excuse my moving, y'all. I just fell off the damn slab.
About the best tool I can find for it, and see what it does. The way.
Hey, however you get it in there, and if you can get most of it in it and not on it, you're doing good.
I hear that. Nope. I'm not as smooth as you, mister.
Oh, look, my trucks ain't gonna rust. They get a liberal coating all. Sometimes it's on film, sometimes it's not.
Now this reservoir, I just want to mention, it's not gonna overflow. It just drains back into the block through the front cover. So you ain't gotta worry too much about that.
So you just give it a good little bit and then eyeball it.
Oh yeah, just top them off.
When you look in the hole, how much of a gap should you have to the top of the oil?
Should have about 1 inch, I believe.
Okay.
But like I said, you can't overfill it, so.
So if you doubt it, put some more, and it ain't gonna hurt it.
Make too much of a mess. Let's look at that. Looks to be about good, and gonna put our plug back in.
All right, cool deal. So we got Hpop oil is topped off, and you know, because we opened the system and got air, sometimes you might have to do this a time or two. So if she's still moody, if she's popping and running all funky, and doesn't want to clear up, sometimes you might need to shut it off and do this again. I've had to do it up to maybe 3 times. Sometimes one time and you're good. So it just all depends on the truck. So we're gonna put the cap back on, and we're gonna get the scanner back going and see what the numbers are looking like. Oh yeah. All right, guys. So we are in the truck. We got everything buttoned up under the hood. We're ready to go. So we got a PO 603, which is the CAM memory code, which is keep alive memory. Don't worry about that. All that means is that the computer was upset because we took the batteries out to get them charged. So anytime you disconnect the batteries, you'll get a CAM code pop up. You can clear it and it'll be fine. The other reoccurring code is this P1280, injector control pressure outer range low. And if y'all remember from the other video, earlier in the video rather, spinning it over before we changed the IPR, the highest IPR oil pressure we could get was about 280 something, and it needs to be at least 500. So we're going to clear these two codes, and we're going to go to our data stream and see if this thing remembers the menu I created. Yes, it does. View data. So let's see. Okay. Alright, so we got injector control pressure right here. We want to see RPMs so that we know that the crank position sensor is working. And we got 1212 on the battery, so that ought to be good. And we also want to see this final number, which is injector control pressure regulator duty cycle, which is, you know, with the truck not running, it's at 15. It should go up to 60 or 65. So hopefully we're going to see this top number climb and clear 500. And if not, we're going to show y'all a mushroom cloud like you ain't never seen. All right, let me get we're going to turn this over to Tristan, who's going to see if he can zoom in and doesn't have to be that number, but, you know, just kind of get it close where the people can see what's what. All right, we got the stick shift in negative, so we're good. I'm going to cycle the key so the glow plugs will go off one more time. And you can see that the glow plugs are working because we went from 1212 to 11. So we're going to let them glow plugs heat. And we're probably going to have to crank on this for a little bit because, again, we opened it up to get the IPR. So let's watch this, see what this does, and the RPMs. Here we go. Okay, we're going to take a break. Well, we're 100 and something pounds more than we were the other day. We had 380 something. All right.
Might have some air still on the line.
Yeah, so we're gonna let her cool off a second and do it again. All right. Okay, so we're gonna turn the key on, let the glow plugs warm us up again, and let the data refresh itself. All right, glow plugs have run again. Let's spin her over again and see what we got. That's just a little over 300, huh? Okay. All right, let's let it sit for a minute. We're gonna try this again. We let it sit. There was no, we didn't have any low oil in the reservoir for the Hpop, but the oil did have some bubbles in it. So we let it sit a minute or two to let the starter cool down and to let the bubbles kind of settle out so we don't suck them back in. And we did put a battery charger on it just for so we don't run them down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cycle the glow plugs, and when the wait to start goes out, we're gonna fire it up and see what kind of oil pressure we're getting now. Does it want to stop at 300? Okay, so we're spinning fast enough at 160, 170 RPM. We're only getting a little over 300 on the injector control. We are getting 65%. All right, and the O-rings on the IPR looked good. So the only other thing that we could have a Hpop leak at one of the injectors. I have to scratch my head on this one for a minute. Well, guys, as you can see, we got the battery charger there. We got the fuel pressure gauge draining right there. We got every damn tool almost that we got. We got tools around the side you don't even see. We got tools up there. So we've been throwing every damn thing we got with us at it. Tristan, you think you can update them on where we at?
Well, we started getting this new code, a 1670, electronic feedback signal not detected. which I mean, we're saying that it could be something with it not starting, it throw a funky code like that. But just to eliminate the IDM, we replaced the IDM.
Yeah, I had a spare, one of my spare IDMs, and we read up on that code, and it was saying that it could be a communication issue, this, that, and the other thing. Yeah. So we tested the relay to the IDM. It looks good. I still don't think it was the IDM, but I brought one with me, so we threw it on and spun it over, and we still
no change.
Yeah, we ended up with 304 pounds. I think the only reason we're ending up with 304 or 308 instead of 280 is because the batteries are in a little better shape today, so we're spinning a little bit faster. So if anybody has any suggestions, I mean, the thing that throws me and Tristan for a loop is, you know, all he did was take off the high pressure lines, you know, that feed the left bank and the right bank, and put these JIC fittings on there, and then the crossover that comes with it, you know, which is a common upgrade for the 7.3. And of course he took out the Ford fittings, and he took out the Ford springs and whatever the little plates are. I guess it's a check valve, but it should have just needed a good burping and go. But we cannot get above 304 pounds actual, and if you unplug the ICP, you'll see 2146 pounds, but that's what it's telling the computer, but that's not what we're actually getting. So that's where we at right now. We're going to put his original IDM back on, and
I believe next step we'll maybe deadhead the pump and try to see an actual reading on the health. Or
yeah, we got to figure out what's going on. We're back to oil pressure and seeing that, you know, thinking that we got something on the Hpop side that's going on. So if any of you guys have had any of these kind of issues or these kind of codes, hit me up in the comment section, and we'll see where we're going from there. And anyhow, we're gonna scratch our heads on this a little bit and see what we can come up with, and pick this video up as soon as we get a direction to go. We kind of at a loss right now. Okay, so I'm robbing a Hpop off here, trying to fit it on Tristan's truck. So I took the two 8 mils off, and we got a 18 mil. Got to use a short 18 mil socket to get around this pipe right here. So I'm gonna put that in there and break that loose. So this is the configuration that I'm using to get around the heater hose tube to get that gear bolt off. Just wanted to show y'all I can't break it loose and hold the camera at the same time, and I don't have a tripod over here, so I'm just gonna crack that loose and pull it out. But I wanted to show y'all that's why you can't use a deep socket. Alright, and that's how it comes out right there. So we got that off. I'm gonna pull the high pressure lines off here, and while the pump is mounted, and then I should just have the 10 mil bolts on the bottom, and the pump should snake out. Alright, let's see. So I have this old wrench, which is a old piece of a wrench that came with what did this come with? I think an angle grinder. So I kind of fine pointed the ends, and you get them. I already have this one pulled off, but you get them in between that metal ring and the black ring, and then you can work this high pressure hose off. So that's how that goes, and that's how these come on. On Tristan's truck, we got these changed from Ford fittings back to aftermarket, so we'll change them when we get down there, but just pulling these off. So I wish I had my damn stand here. So basically we're going to get this in here, we're going to work it in between the metal ring and the plastic like that. Trying to do this and watch, and then once I get it seated and get a little push back and forth to get that ring pushed toward the pump, then I'll catch it right here with my finger and pop it off. All right, well, we got this back one out, and this, let me get this socket off here. This little sumbitch here is not coming out. I've poked and pried and pulled on it, and she ain't coming out. So we're gonna pull this fitting so we get a wrench on this one and pull it out with the fitting, and maybe we can deal with it on the vise or something. So I'm gonna put a socket on this one, get it out the way where I can get a wrench on the other one. Well, we got this ornery bastard out of there. So there's our 2 holes. And don't forget, if you're fooling with these, they do have a check valve, which is a spring and a little plate that you can see in the hole right there. And if you're going back with forward fittings, use them. If you're going with the aftermarket ones, follow the directions, because I don't think they have a seat in the fitting to accommodate the spring, so they run without the spring. So just pay attention to remember those. If you got, depending on which way you're going back, you may need them, you may not. All right, just for security, I'm just gonna go ahead and see if I can pull this off in a vise and put them back in here just to hold all that together. Well, when you stop giving a damn and you cut the rubber off and start beating the hell out of it, that's what you get. Alright, let me lay that up there. And what I'm going to do is put this in here just to keep everything together. Like I said, we don't need those springs. Alright, we should have 2 10 mils up under the back. And she ought to come out of there now. Alright, so this is 1 10 mil right next to the IPR. And that's the other 10 mil. And she should come on out of there. Okay, well, this is the gasket, and that's how the front of the Hpop looks. That's the lines we were working on, and that's how she looks when she comes out from under the fuel bowl.
Alright, y'all, we back again for the 3rd day. The last time we was at it, we had the electric scanner on it, and we weren't showing more than 300-ish, 250 to 300 pounds of high pressure oil. So where we left off was I deadheaded one side of the pump and put an actual gauge, a mechanical gauge on it, and I was getting pretty much spot on confirmation of that.
All right, that's cool. So we got a replacement pump. We're going to throw it on and see if that gives us more oil pressure than the current one. All right, so we got the lines off on the back of the pump. We cracked the fittings loose because we're going to need to move those to the new pump. And we cracked the IPR loose. Left it snug so we don't leak oil too bad. And Tristan is down here in the front working on pulling the exhaust back pressure sensor tube out of the way so we can get the front cover off of the pump to get to the 18 mil. All right, well, Tristan's getting the last of the 2 10 mil bolts from the back. He's been in intense negotiations with the last one, and that's all we got to say about that. Well, guys, when y'all are watching the more detailed videos and they say, oh, you just cock it to the side and she just slides right out, they full of crap.
Just pulling it straight back. No.
We got the pump loose and we jammed up on the damn metal fuel lines, trying to get enough slack to get the Hpop out. All right, guys, this is week 12, and we're, you know, the video, you know, I can't imagine what's going on. The YouTube guy said it just pops in and pops out. If I find him, I'm gonna pop him in his eye. So Tristan's been over here up to his navel in engine bay trying to get this thing clocked in. So we're just trying to get it stabbed, and like I said, he can barely see what the hell's going on, so the camera ain't gonna do us justice. But I did get the clips. Y'all saw how it came out on the spare engine I had, so that ought to give you an idea how it goes in. But Lord Ford put enough crap in the way for this. Mr. Tristan has finished his procedure. We got all of the pump back in, front bolt back on, everything torqued down. We opened the Allen screw on top of the Hpop and topped it off, and we got pointed that line over there by the alternator. We got one line dead-headed, and on one side of the pump, and we got the other line right here. And we're gonna be watching this. This is a 3,000 pound gauge. We should see all of it, but we only moving like just barely at all on his original pump. We don't know the history of this pump. It's just a spare that I had. So we're gonna do the test and see. We got our handy dandy start button. Tristan's gonna look for leaks and stuff, and we're gonna spin it over and see. I'm just gonna bump it a couple of times just to make sure nothing's in a jam when she's spinning, and then we'll crank on it.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that nothing sounds weird or nothing's squirting anywhere. Okay, we sounding good. All right, so we're gonna, I don't know how, I've never tested the pump yet, especially one that was dry, so we're gonna spin it over and see. All right, so we just getting a few hundred pounds. Tristan, get over here where you can see the gauge and see if that's about where you think it was the other day. Can you see good?
Yeah.
Turn it, and we don't have to catch it on camera. Turn it where you can see it, and tell me if that's the same thing you were seeing or better or what.
Yeah, I'd say that's about the same, you know, where it was on the gauge.
Okay, I'm gonna crank on it a couple of times, and we're gonna see if everything's primed up. We're gonna check prime on the Allen head again, make sure we don't have any leaks, and I'm gonna hook the scanner up from inside the truck, make sure we're getting 65 on the IPR.
Right, y'all, since we last talked, we got the new high pressure pump in. What I had to fight to get that in was this driver's side fuel line. What I ended up having to do, or made it easier, we took this, there, I'll point at it, this here, I guess you call it a bracket, a fuel line bracket, and then we ended up taking it off from the pump as well. It wasn't but I believe a 5/8 wrench to get that off, and once we was able to swing that lower to where we can actually get the pump in, got the gasket in there, and so don't mind this rat's nest here. What we actually found was the pump was able to make sufficient pressure only when we would send 12 volts to the actual wire of the IPR. So that lets us know that the IPR is working and the pump is working, but we're not getting the feed input to tell the IPR what to do. So what I did this morning was actually came across the problem. Alrighty, now that might be able to see some of this. A lot of these wires was
Chafed.
It was real chafed, and the actual insulation was degraded, and a lot of bare wires rubbing, so that was causing a lot of the intermittent issues. You can kind of see it on this one here. Alrighty, y'all, now that we got our 42 pin connector all isolated from each other like the way it's supposed to be, what we did was we ran this test lead back to the actual wires coming from the harness. So we're gonna go ahead and test the truck as normal and see what she does, and we'll let you know that.
Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that. The top code is a PO475, and that's exhaust back pressure. We got a delete on that, so that's a new code. We were testing something out. Manifold air temp sensor is not plugged in, so it's not going to read. Wastegate is bypassed, so basically all of this is the 1280 integrated control panel circuit code. We spun it over a little while ago on the computer and I didn't get it on film. We're going to clear codes, yes. Okay, and then we're going to back out of this. We're going to go to data stream, custom. We set up a new data menu just to see injector control pressure still on the top, voltages and that. Well, voltage reference supply. Not sure what the hell that is. We clicked on a few extra things. We got RPM, which is the 0, and then we have 12.3 volts. Now the injector control pressure duty cycle at 15%, and the injector control pressure duty cycle at 14.9. One of them is the requested, and one of them is the feedback of what it actually is. So those were climbing. They went to 65, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Full.
And when we got oil pressure on the gauge and got back to here, we only saw like 320 again. So we had strip naked wires on the pigtail to the IPR, and since we have the exhaust back pressure deleted, we robbed its pigtail because they're interchangeable and put it on with a good soldered connection. So we're getting ready to watch these numbers here now and see what she does. So what we want to see is RPMs climbing, these two chasing each other, and that getting the hell up. And I'll tell you when I got oil pressure over here. So that should, once this hits oil pressure on the gauge, that should be as maxed as it's going to get. All right, here we go. I got oil pressure. Still doing that 320 business. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and test our IPR thing by feeding it 12 volts, and I'm going to show you all that. Okay, so this is a spare IPR pigtail, and it's made onto a long pigtail with just some stripped ends. So we're going to plug this into the back of the IPR, okay, and we've got black tape, which is our negative, and the other one's the hot. So we're going to put it on the battery and send 12 volts to it, which will max the IPR out. So what we think we're seeing is that the IPR is not maxing out, but we're going to test it with this. Spin it over with the jumper.
Okay, we're about to try with the constant 12 volts to the IPR solenoid. See what it does.
Alright, here we go.
All pressure. Smoking it up. Alright, y'all, while I still got most of the stuff off the top of the engine and the stage is all still set, I thought I'd share here a good and easy tip that I learned for this passenger side fuel rail. It goes underneath the turbo pedestal here, and it's normally held up by this bracket here. This bracket clamps on the steel line, but it'll actually wear itself through the softer steel line, and you'll get a pretty good fuel leak, I imagine, which is no bueno. And the easy tip would be take your square bicycle inner tube, doesn't matter really which kind, and snake that through the bracket himself, and no, that'll cut down on a lot of the vibration and wear, you know. You get that snapped in like that, kind of bent back over. We'll come back in with the retainer. You can't see any of this. Here we are. Let's see if I can. Like so. And that'll definitely cut out on a lot of the wear, just because you'll have less play. Alrighty, y'all. Another quick tip dealing with abrasions. Common on these trucks is it's common for this here wiring 42-pin wiring connector to get pressed up against this valve cover. You can actually see here where the paint's worn through. That could be from this, or who knows really. But as a preventative measure, what I'm gonna go ahead and do is take some 1-inch loom, and we're gonna try at least to feed him through there. That way this exposed wire is protected at all times. Well, here's a little clip for y'all, just to show that it's a lot easier to do some just, you know, cleaning it up. It's a lot easier to do it outside the truck before you put it in. So basically just going out, and I'm kind of inspecting my connections and wires as I go. Pull back him a little bit. And kind of inspect where they connect. That'd be the most prone wear point, right about there. So give him a little spray and clean up. Alrighty. Oh, got that the wrong way. I believe the flat side, if you can see that. I'm not even in frame. The flat side goes down, I believe. And we'll just re-electrical tape this, and it should be good as new, basically. Alright, y'all. I'm getting it all buttoned back up. I got one of those last minute little details that may come in handy if you know. This here replacement harness is off of a early '99 Power Stroke. So I believe it's somewhat, you know, somewhat different. I tried every angle to make this here constant power wire seat on this relay, and it's just not going. So we're gonna go ahead and barely nibble off the corner on this terminal here. See what that does. Perfect. Maybe a little more. Ay, ay. Okay. Playing around no more. There we are. Okay, we got the half of the battle. I'm gonna get this bastard out. See if we can pull him on through. If I could grab it like a bowling ball, I would. This might have to come clean out the way. Oh.
Okay. Oh, got something here. Gotta try all kinds of combinations before you find the right one. Okay, we're close. She's coming out of there. Okay.
Alright, the craziness continues. So we got video of it running, and that's with the jumper on, and we were seeing 3,700 pounds of ICP pressure on the scanner, which pretty much meshes with the peg in the 3,000 pound gauge past 3,000 the other day. So we're trying to figure out why the IPR is not getting communication from the computer. Something's going on with that, and that's a brand new IPR. So we're getting ready. Tristan's pulling the big plug on the PCM, and we're going to maybe try a pin test and possibly try swapping the computer and see if that does anything. And if that doesn't do anything, y'all might see the biggest mushroom cloud on YouTube history. Alright, we'll be back with you in a minute. Crikey, people. Here we see a Ford owner in his natural habitat.
That's right. I typically live under here this month.
What we doing, boss?
I'm about to go back in with the original high pressure oil pump that we took off.
How about I get your face in the screen? You want people to see you?
Oh, it don't matter.
Instead of your neck?
Yeah, my neck beard. But,
Okay. So you just lining up your plan of attack?
Yeah, basically try to get it on camera.
Alright, what you gonna do with that gasket?
Try to keep it out of the Grimmies up here.
Uh-huh. What's with these rubber bands?
Oh yeah, here's a good tip. Put you a couple rubber bands on your mounting bolts, just to where you have some resistance going in. But keep them out your way.
Cool. And then I guess that lines up your gasket too once you get
Correct.
it almost seated, huh?
Correct.
Okay.
This would be your shorter bolt here, and the longer one is on the driver's side.
Right next to that IPR.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. We're gonna come back when Tristan's ready to stab it, because he's got a zigzaggedy, twisty, waggedy way of getting it in there where it goes easy, as opposed to the way I do it, which is a crowbar and a torch. All right, Mr. T has his pump shined up, because we can't put nothing dirty on this truck. Too clean. That's probably why my pump didn't want to work on it, that old dirty ass pump. I'm gonna shut up and let him show y'all how to snake this rascal in here.
We'll try. So you try to give yourself enough room. This is how it sits. We bring it in just like this, I believe. Straight down, and then we'll have to spin them. Get on the side of the fuel.
I'm gonna try and stay with the shot long as I can until it disappears underneath the fuel bowl.
Hopefully. Bit of a tight fit, but that's how it came out. Hidden on the ground. Okay. Here we are.
So you gotta tuck that passenger side in a little bit first.
Yeah. It's kind of try every configuration, and eventually it'll.
And the only thing we had to undo really to fit that was that fuel line bracket on the driver's head.
Right.
Okay.
Right. That'll give you enough play in the line to where it's not fighting you too bad.
All right. And we can't see it anymore, but what Tristan's going to do is he's going to get it almost to the hole underneath the fuel pump, and then leave a little gap just shy of going back into the timing cover. And then, since those bolts are held sticking out with the little rubber band trick, he's going to take the gasket up on Oh, come on, screen, work with me. He's going to take the gasket right there and slip it in by the alternator side and line it up on the nose and the 2 bolts. And that keeps you from messing up. Those gaskets are real flimsy. You don't want to mess up the sealing surface, so it's best to sneak that in at the tail end. He might be able to get a shot with the GoPro, but if not, you know, that's how it is. It's going to sneak in on the alternator side, and you might need some needle nose or something, but you just line it up and make sure it's on the bolts, then you can finish stabbing the pump.
Okay.
All right, we're good. Whenever you're ready.
This here's the high pressure oil gasket. I just got a pair of needle nose and try to fish it on through. The whole point of this is to try to keep the gasket clean. So once we got it close, we can snake this in here, hopefully. Here we go. And just try not to grab on the blue sealing surface. And it should.
So you're just trying to get it over that big fat nose and
Right.
then line it up on the bolts?
Correct.
Okay.
You gotta make sure it doesn't twist.
And that once you're done, it's like flat on the pump. That way it'll just go right up against the timing cover. Okay.
That's what you're looking for. Don't feel bad if you can't see anything. Me neither.
We're going to show you. We goofed up and had the gasket backward. Look, Tristan's going to show you on this pump how the gasket's supposed to go.
Where you grab it.
Okay, so you kind of grab it on the side. Look, act like you're going to just hold it over this one so you can, so they can see. So that's how it orients on the pump. We had it the other way around. Just a side note, guys, if you don't, hang on. People don't see we're shooting on a movie site right here. If you don't have a topside creeper, you just take your tool cart and put your feet on it. And there you go. All right, so we popped our rubber bands after getting the nose and the bolts started and ran them up, and Tristan's torquing the 2 10 mils from the back to how much?
18 foot-pounds.
All right, cool. You remember what the front is?
The front is 96.
All right.
Big boat.
See, he didn't know there was even gonna be a quiz today. Good job.
Right, y'all, I just wanted to film getting the second high pressure oil line back on. The first one it was a bit, you know, far back there. You couldn't really see well, so just to get them lined up right.
I do have the I have another mount that's got a squeeze clamp on it if you need it.
Oh, come on. This works pretty good.
Well, it's a little dark, but we got her going. She's a little moody because we still got a couple of cylinders that are not right. But I'm gonna show you some daytime footage, but she's back happy, and we got a couple other little things to make her happier, but she's running.
Right, y'all, we got the thing in the vise. This is the old pump that came off the truck that's going back on, since there was nothing wrong with it. But I went ahead and removed the old Loctite from the threads of the JIC fitting, and as well they had a lot of that Loctite 680 here. It turns to a solid, and I can't imagine that'd be good for the inside of the pump. So I went ahead and I got out as much as I can see, basically. But they had a good bit trapped in the threads. So, ready to go back in. We're just gonna make sure our O-ring's good. It's a brand new one, basically. And put our new Loctite. sure it goes in straight there. It should be around, or exactly 25 foot-pounds. Down. One trick to get this thing in the vise, along the perimeter, it's like a sort of an X shape, and you can put that on the edge of your jaws and it'll catch just about 3 ways around the pump. That's a good solid way to clamp them and torque everything. Alright, we still got to put the IPR in and the new pump. Well, y'all, we got the old girl back on the road. It took a little while of going back and forth with pretty much everything, but it turns out that as soon as we replaced the top end engine harness, it fired back like nothing happened. So I'm guessing, you know, some of them wires touching didn't make it too happy, and but it's came back together good, and hopefully another successful video.
Well, we're gonna make it what we can. All right, guys. Well, Big Red is gonna be out the picture for now until we get on another little step from her. Either Tristan will film it maybe, or we'll get a chance to see him around over here. So we maybe see him on another video. And that's about pretty much everything that I know about Hpops right there. And I want to thank Tristan for getting me involved in this, because it was a big education to me, because I haven't run into a whole lot of Hpop stuff. So thanks again for that, and we're gonna close it out, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it and watched us stumble around, and maybe you learned a thing or two. But if not, we'll see y'all on the next one.
Y'all subscribe now.
Oh.